Task 9 required you to retrieve accommodations in PA Next. This allows you to link the student's PIN number with the test registration in PA Next. Once ACT uploads to juniors, you will be required to perform Task 9 for those juniors with approved accommodations. Task 8 required you to assign test dates in TAA. If you have a student with prior approved accommodations, so for example, suppose they took the test as a junior last year with accommodations, or they took a national test with accommodations, you must associate those accommodations with the new test date. And in our case, it will be spring 2022. If you do not, and those students are given accommodations, ACT will void the test. Once you perform Task 8 and 9 on seniors and or juniors, you need to go into PA Next and verify that the students with accommodations are linked to the Spring 2022 test in PA Next, and also verify enrollment counts. So in this tutorial or video, we will discuss how to pull up those operational reports and how to verify enrollment count. Just a reminder that if you go to the ACT Canvas course, the ACT Online Canvas course, I'm on the home page. If you click on ACT coordinator task right here, you will see task 8 and task 9 that were referenced in the previous part of the video. So task 8 was assigning test dates in TAA, and task 9 was retrieving accommodations in PA Next. Okay, so now I'm in PA Next. And make sure on the top right you see where it says ACT Spring 2022. And I'm going to look at Bel Air High School for the moment. And what I want you to do is to go to Reports. So if you go to Reports, click on Reports. I want you to go to Operational Reports. Click on Operational Reports. I'm going to click on Operational Reports. And you'll see right here, if it's not already checked, I need for you to check students and registration. And when you click on student registration, this shows up. Probably what showed up when you clicked on it was nothing here. So I want you to click on students and registrations, and then this will show up. First thing I want you to look at is this one right here where it says student registration report. So this report will tell you which students are registered for the Spring 2022 test. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. So when I click on this, this now shows up. So I'm going to go ahead and request report refresh. I'm going to click on that. I am going to then select test admin. I'm going to select ACT Spring 2022. When I click refresh report right here, click refresh report. All right, it says your report request has been submitted. Check back in a few minutes to view your report. It doesn't take that long. So you see it says waiting for report to complete. See those curved arrows right here? That's the refresh button. Go ahead and click that. And real quick, you get the report. So I'm going to go ahead and download the report. And when I download the report, now remember this report is student registrations report. So that's going to tell you which students are registered for the Spring 2022 test. So it downloads at the bottom. And when I open it, when I click on it, I'm going to open it up. This is what we see. So notice right here, Bel Air High School doesn't have any students at this point registered for ACT Spring 2022. Now remember, the ACT will upload the juniors, but remember, y'all were supposed to upload any seniors who you're going to test in the spring that don't have an ACT score. Because remember, the state and ACT will only upload the juniors and those seniors without ACT scores. So notice that Bel Air High School doesn't have any seniors listed. So at this point, I'm assuming one of two things. They're not testing any seniors who already have an ACT score, or they haven't done this task yet. So let me remind you what this task was. So I'm going to go back to list of tasks, and that was task 5. Task 5 was completing and uploading the SDU file in PA Next. So Bel Air High School hasn't done that. All right, so now I'm going to go to another school. Okay, so I'm now at Liberty High School, Liberty Magnet High School, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go to Reports. I'm going to go to Operational Reports. Notice it, since I've already dealt with this before, it automatically defaulted to the students in registration. But if you haven't done this recently, this is probably what you're going to see. So under report categories, I want you to click on students and registrations, and let's go ahead and do the same thing, student registration report. So when I click on student registration report, it automatically comes to this. So remember, in the previous one, the download report wasn't there. So if you need to, go ahead and click on request report refresh. You're going to have to put the test administration date, which is spring 2022, and then click on refresh report. So remember, this shows up. It's waiting for the report. Let's go ahead and refresh again, and then I'm going to go ahead and download report. When I click on download report, it's going to download at the bottom left, and I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Okay, so when I open that report up, this shows up. Now, I went in and I deleted all of the student information, but you're going to have all this right here that I've highlighted. You're going to have the student code, the ACT student code will be listed here. The student's last name will be listed here. The student's first name will be listed here. And in some cases, you'll see a student middle initial. And then where you see local, this right here says local student code, that is actually the LSID. The LSID will be listed here. So remember, when you did the SDU file, the LSID was linked to the ACT student code. And then notice the test administration date is spring 2022. So when I go ahead and count how many records there are, so Liberty High School uploaded, let's see, let me try and find that number. So uploaded about 200, it's not listed here. So let me go ahead and quickly do it again. So let me just do this real quick. So Liberty High School uploaded approximately, let's see, I'm going to go ahead and do it again. So uploaded approximately 238 seniors. So remember, these are seniors so far. The juniors aren't uploaded yet by ACT. So these are seniors. So ACT uploaded 238 seniors. Liberty High School. Liberty High School uploaded 238 seniors. So make sure you're looking at this list, the list that you uploaded in the SDU file. If any of those students, those seniors that you uploaded without that already have an ACT score, if you're not going to test some of them, then go ahead and do the unenroll form so that way they don't show up in PA Next. And we'll talk about that as another task in a few weeks. All right, but you're going to go ahead and do an unenroll form for those students who you will not be testing. All right, so let's go ahead now and do this. So remember, there are 238 seniors that were uploaded, right? Now, some of those seniors have accommodations. And so what you got to do now is go And I'm going to move this away. I want you to go back to Reports, go to Operational Reports, and this time, let's see, it's still figuring this thing out. Okay. Now this time I want you to click on Accommodation and Student Roster. So make sure in the report categories here, student registration is listed. So click on Accommodation Support Roster. So when I click on this, you're going to see the same thing. If you need to, go here and request report refresh if this doesn't show up. And make sure you have your school name. The test date will be ACT. Don't put ACT with writing or ACT writing only. Just do ACT. And the accommodation status, just leave it as blank. What's actually going to happen is remember you're supposed to retrieve the PIN numbers in PA Next, and you're supposed to link those PIN numbers. So that's what you see here, retrieved. No student, if the student opts out of their accommodations, they would be also listed on this report. But I don't think we've ever had any students that has opted out of their accommodations. So just go ahead and leave it blank like this, and then click on Refresh Report. When you click on Refresh Report, this again shows up. Notice it says Accommodation Support Roster. It says Waiting for Report. Just go ahead and real quick, just click on those two curved arrows, which is the refresh button. When you click on the refresh button, you get this now. So I'm going to go ahead and download the report. I'm going to click on this. When I click on download the report, it's going to download at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and open it up. All right, so when you open it up, you're going to get this list. Now notice there are, let me go ahead and count these. There are 14 records from the 238 students. So of those 238 students, and these were seniors at this point, of those 238 seniors, Liberty has only linked 14 records. So there's more students that need to be retrieved. You need to do that. But at this point, only 14 records, 14 students have been linked in PA Next for accommodations. Now I went ahead, and you're going to see right here, let me go ahead and let me go ahead and let me do the B and the C as well. Okay, so notice the student code will be here. That's the AC2 student code. I went ahead and deleted that so the names wouldn't show up. The last name will be here. The first name will be here, and you may see a middle initial. The date of birth will be here, and the test name will be ACT, multiple choice. The delivery, so Liberty is testing the students with accommodations on paper. And there's a timing code, so notice that all of them look like it's timing code. Well, most are timing code 6, but there's one that's timing code 3. See right here? Timing code 3. Remember, and then notice the other approvals. So there's one student that has, I'm clicking on this, notice right here it says modular acoustics. So that's probably an amplification, a sound amplifier. And then this one right here is pre-recorded audio. So it looks like there's only one student at this point, one of those 14 students that have pre-recorded audio. And the rest looks like they don't have pre-recorded audio. Okay, so that is this report. Now, you need to make sure that you have linked. That was task number 8. Make sure you have linked in PA Next the PIN numbers associated with those students in PA Next. All right, now, next thing I want you to do is this. Okay, so I want you to then go back to Setup. Make sure you go back to the home page, first of all, to where you see this. Then go to Setup. When you go to Setup, I want you to click on Organizations. So click on Organization. Your school name should show up. Put a check mark in the box next to your school name. Then go to Start, that drop down right here, and select All Tasks. Select All Tasks. And then I want you to go, see where it says up here, Edit Enrollment Counts? I want you to look at that for a moment. Click on Edit Enrollment Counts. And then remember, at some point, you're going to have to do this several times. So for standard time testing, if you click on the plus arrow right here, you're going to see there are 224 online standard time tests associated with Liberty High School. Then I'm going to go to accommodation formats. Click on that plus symbol right here. There are 13 associated with the accommodation test booklet and one, remember that audio kit? Remember we talked about that? So remember a while ago, I'm going to go ahead and show you again. So remember Liberty had 14 students associated or linked in PA Next with accommodations. So those are the 14 that you see. So one has an audio kit and 13 have accommodations. And I think the accommodations were probably time and a half over multiple days, possibly. But you would have to go in and look to see what the specific accommodations are in terms of the extended time. But 13 here, and then there's a 224. So remember altogether, Liberty High had 238 seniors, so there's a 238. So 224 plus 14 is 238. So I need for you to verify that these numbers are correct. And then when the juniors are uploaded, you can do the same thing. Okay? All right. Now, I'm going to go ahead and end task right here. I'm going to click on end task. And then I want to say something else that I've noticed about Liberty High School, and that's true for probably some others as well. Okay, so remember that there were 14 students that Liberty, 14 seniors at this point, that Liberty went into PA Next and linked their PIN numbers. The problem I saw was that these students, although they were linked in PA Next, in TAA, those students were not associated with the new test date. So I'm going to show you an example. So none of those students were associated with the test date. And I saw that with a couple of others as well, a couple of other schools. So remember, this was task, let me go and find it real quick. This was task number, this was task number 8. You had to assign test dates in TAA. So let me show you what happens. So I'm going to go to go to TAA. Well, remember you're going to go to success.act.org, type in your email address and your password, and then we're going to get this. Okay, so then you're going to click on Test Accessibility and Accommodations. So TAA, click on that. All right, so then you're going to find your school. I want to go to Liberty. So you're not going to have all these schools. So let me find Liberty. So Liberty is right here. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to say Continue. And when I click on Continue, the students will show up. Okay, so when you click on Continue, you're going to see all the students down here. I kind of hidden it with the Word document, but you can see the PIN numbers, the test, the last name, first name, middle initial, status, and so on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that first name that was one of those 14 students. I'm going to put the last name and first name here, and then I'm going to search. Okay, so I'm going to do the last name, first name, and then I'm going to click on search. Okay, so when I clicked on search, you're going to see that student's name listed here, and there's the PIN number. I hid a lot of information with some Word documents. It was approved for state and district testing last year for the spring 2021, and it was submitted on January 12th, 2021. You're going to then click, you see where it says PIN number right here? You're going to click on the PIN number. You're going to click on the PIN number. And when you click on the PIN number, this page will show up, the request history. I covered the student's name here, and I also covered the student list SID right here. So the SID's going to show up here, and the student's name is going to show up here. What I want you to notice is this. You must associate the new test administration. So notice for this student, although that student is registered for spring 2022 in PA Next, although that student is registered in spring 2022 in PA Next, ACT will void the test because that student, the TAA accommodations, are not associated with the new test date. See, this says March 2021. You must go right here, and I'm not going to click on this because it's now going to remove those Word documents right here. But you got to click on select test date, and let me see if I can do that without removing these. But I want you to notice that spring 2022 is not listed. It must be listed. That was task number 8 that you had to do. Okay, so then we see what it says test. You would select ACT test and district testing. And for test dates, you need to select Louisiana Spring 2022 and then assign the test accommodations. All right, so once you do that, then spring 2022 will be associated with this with those accommodations. All right, so you must perform task number 8 as well. Okay, so that's one of the things I noticed with this school and also a couple of others. And one of the other things I want to remind you is this. So notice you got to be careful when looking in TAA. See, this was approved, and this is what the school, the test coordinator, requested. Person requested small group testing and 1.5 time. Now notice it says 1.5 time, 1.5 time. So you need to, and it was approved, you need to download the decision notification to see if this is 1.5 time over multiple days, because ACT could have given another accommodation as well. But if it was partially approved, you need to look at the decision notification. Okay, so if it's just 1.5 time, that's 1.5 time in one sitting. That's not over multiple days. 1.5 time over in one sitting. So all tests have to be given in one day. And small group testing. So 8 students or less. You cannot have this student. You cannot have this student in a group of 9 or more. It must be 8 or less. Remember that, small group testing, 8 or less. Okay? And another thing you have to remember is that you must give the student the decision notification. So if you click on the decision notification, right here. So when you clicked on the decision notification, I went ahead and I covered the student's address. Home address will be listed here, and the PIN number will be listed here. But notice the decision notification was small group testing and 1.5 time. Remember, 1.5 time is single day. If it was multiple days, it would have had said 1.5 time, 1 and 1/2 time over multiple days. Okay, so be careful when you're grouping students. They must be in the same timing code. Okay? All right, so that should take care of what I wanted you to look at before we meet before we meet during our next meeting. So you need to make sure that you are doing task 8 and task 9. Okay. So if you have any questions, always make sure you call or email.